So almost night, almost good morning. So this is like the new setup, which is very combative, as you see, and is in line with my feelings. At the current time, it's like the double setup. We have also combative kind of like second wall. These two paintings are actually I liked them very much, but they were damaged. Like what can I say? It's not stored. It's stored very poorly, but I don't have I don't have much to do about it. Though I only kind of comfort myself that I've seen this kind of damage in the past, and there are ways to fix it, from experience, but hopefully I'll be able to fix it and get it back to proper form. The upper one is oil, and the lower one is acrylic. The lower one actually is, a very early painting. From February, I think, almost 2 years ago, and it was actually it's an example of fixing something that is not broken, because it was it was very I really liked it, and I really liked it. Liked it. And after some time, several days, I decided to add another layer, and it really degraded the painting significantly. But so this is the degraded form. But you cannot remove the layer once it's there, and so it's not in I wish I hadn't had added the layer. And now I like it much less. But it's still nice, and certainly in my kind of art, it's mostly cerebral. So I work on concept. So it's, you cannot really damage a painting, because if it's not done well, you just do it again, and or do a variation of it. So because mostly I think a lot before I complete the painting. So it's not terrible. It's not really terrible if I ruin something, because in any case, the idea is to refine an idea and a way of expression. And but actually I intended to create a series of paintings that are based on this model that you see here. But I created just one additional one that and I didn't like it, and so I painted over it, and I didn't get to it. Maybe in the future. The idea was it should be there's the satanic element and the fire, and also something that is very very prominent in my thought, which is and maybe you understand it now more than ever, but it was something that actually the concept of a person that fights an evil empire, specifically fascism, and I would say the situation of a person that lives inside a fascist state and totalitarian state and does not accept it, and he's kind of doomed to a last cause. It's impossible for a person to fight fascism. It's an impossibility. Just fascism is the etymology of the word, the origin of the actual term is related to reps of wheat or not wheat. pieces of wood that are wrapped together. Like I mean, presumably it was. I mean, the idea is like that that I mean each like piece of wood is weak, but I mean when they are wrapped together they are strong. I mean, and this is like the etymology of the word fascism, if I'm not mistaken. So it's also a symbol of fascism. I mean, for the I guess for the good if you support it, but I mean also for the bad, of course. So I mean, but you don't see it as well as it was like in the original version before I kind of like ruined it, like the wraps of like I mean of wood, but it's burned and with fire. And I just mentioned that I mean earlier, I mean not recently, not that much, but I mean earlier in my blogging, like and my recording is like in Evernote, like I mean in the first like few years of this journey, I mentioned George Orwell very frequently, because George Orwell was important. I mean for me when I was a teenager. I mean I not only read all the like the novels that were translated to Hebrew, but not less importantly the essays that are incredibly important. I mean of course it's not that I'm not like the first to say it. I mean he was a very famous essayist and still so, but much of like I mean my early occupation with Orwellian thought was kind of like I mean was like a dark prophecy, like I mean that I mean I remember in the initial stages of the journey, like I mean again it was the second half of 2019. I like went back like to Orwell, like just I mean sometimes I mean you find comfort in just I mean reading like horrible things, but I mean just I mean to understand that just I mean by the fact that you understand that I mean the people in the past I mean have experienced the stuff that you feel, just by that it's kind of like a comfort, even though I mean you read it might be like completely terrible stuff, but I mean and without any kind of like I mean hope of salvation, but I mean just by the fact that you are not alone, because I mean it was so clear to me that this is going to be such a lonely journey, because no one will help me. This is like the Truman Show. I cannot speak with nobody, and it's still like that. Like 4.5 years passed, and I can only speak like now to the wall, and maybe like we'll get like all sorts of like I mean ambiguous and messages from YouTube, which is that is also important, because I mean otherwise I would be like completely in the dark. But I mean it's not like there is no human connection, and couldn't be, and and I knew it's going to be like that, and I was so lonely, and sometimes you were so lonely, and I understood that I mean not good times are coming too, and they did not come. I mean not at all, not at all. But I mean just I mean to read about like that people like or not only experienced it, but wrote about it, like and kind of like formulated it, and like this kind of evil that I understood that it's already, I mean it was part of my life without my knowledge for so long, but it's going to be now worse, and of course it became worse. So totalitarianism and fascism is something that I mean obviously you can find like this problem like in my expressions, and above this is kind of like I mean obviously I mean influenced by H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. Mostly it was like experimenting in oil painting. Is a relatively early oil painting that I've had, and also materials. The left one is I've spoken about it in the past, that it's very simple, like I know even simplistic, but I mean surprisingly it actually took me months to paint it. Like I mean even though it's just acrylic and very simple, like presumably you can draw it like on a paper in a minute, but it was like a very lengthy process, and I mean it symbolizes like the hyperspace jump. I mean and it took quite some time to actually paint it. Like I mean of course I didn't like spend the entire 3 months or so just painting that one. I mean it was like maybe a couple of minutes every week, but I mean yes, it's actually as simple as it might look. I mean actually I mean it took considerably more time to paint this one, like than this one, like the oil paint of the War of the Worlds, like on the top, for example. I should also say something that, I mean, like I've mentioned, I mean, it wasn't recorded, but maybe I'll record it just, I mean, even if just for me, so I'll have it like in record to, I mean, to remember that, I mean, so yeah, so I'm listening to music now, and I get, you know, it's one of the songs that, you know, I mean, was in the playlist, I mean, and so I should say that, I mean, regarding the fairy tale, I hope, hopefully I will continue it soon, because I want to finish it. I don't want to like keep it open, and it was left like in the middle, and so hopefully I'll find like the motivation, you know, to complete it. We have still several chapters and action, I mean, in front of us. But I would say that I thought about this. I articulated this fairy tale, I mean, mostly during a trip to Machtesh Ramon that was happened like maybe 2 years ago, and a hike that was started like during the evening, and I spent the night walking in Machtesh and up in the morning, and it was a very interesting experience. It wasn't my first time in Machtesh Ramon, maybe it's the third or the fourth, but it was during the night, and it was very, I mean, during the night it's like another planet, like a moon, like, I mean, like a space scenery, and I was very excited, and I've like had all sorts of emotions and divinations, and one divination was very, very, I mean, strong, to a point that almost it was like a reenactment, and it was like it based like it was like it was the base of the fairy tale, even though, I mean, it's very late, like in the fairy tale, but I mean, sometimes, you know, you start from the end. So, but it was, I mean, it was something along those lines, and it was very strong. Like, again, almost like reenactment. I speak about pretty. I mean, I mentioned the issue of reenactments a lot, and some reenactments were actually, you know, like recorded online, but mostly reenactments are done like, I mean, when I walk in like regular places, I mean, mostly Tel Aviv and also Jerusalem, but mostly Tel Aviv, and like places that I know since childhood and know very well, and just I walk. I mean, the reenactment is like an augmented reality that is based, but it's based on regular reality. That, I mean, you walk in places that you know very well, like doing presumably, you know, either sport or, you know, or leisure, or maybe you have like, I mean, specific things that you need to do and interact with people, but like superimposed on that, I mean, with kind of like, I mean, with time you develop sensitivity that allows you to be, I mean, perceptive to the fact that, I mean, while you do something that is functional or, I mean, sportive in a place that I mean, you know very well, and is not at all irregular to you, it's also can serve as reenactment in a way that, I mean, you reenact a historical event that is relevant to you. Mostly of one of my predecessors, and much, I mean, mostly, I mean, the ones from the 1980s. I mean, but this reenactment was completely different, because both like the actual trail was not something that I walk every day, and it was like a space scenery, and like during the night, you know, and like, and all the stars, and, you know, it's like, so it was something otherworldly, and the event was something that, I mean, like incredibly, like, I mean, very, very strong, and like, I mean, like, you know, emotionally strong, and like it belonged to the realm of epic, of course, like you see in this photograph. Like, I mean, it's certainly from the realm of, like, you know, of not of our life, like, you know, in the 20th century, but something completely different. And even though, yes, it was, I mean, it's an historical event, I mean, from a long time ago, and this experience that was very strong, I mean, was the base of the fairy tale. So hopefully I'll get to it soon. So soon, I mean, so very soon we need to go to the hearing, like, you know, in the Rishon court, and another arrest hearing, and above all, what I mean, I really have, like, what causes me now the most, I would say, discomfort and pain and disgust is the theater. Like, I do not assume that, I mean, that they will actually, like, I mean, they like send me back to, like, to jail, like, I mean, from house arrest, even though it's possible. And of course I don't want it because it's terrible, but I mean, probably it's not going to happen. But at my current situation, it wasn't like all through, like, you know, this journey of 4.5 years. But I cannot participate in the theater. Like, I mean, I feel like, you know, I feel like people, and for so long they enjoyed that. I mean, to push me, you know, to the ground, so I will speak, like, you know, like I'll say things that they want me to speak, to say, that presumably, I mean, in a very primitive way. Like, I mean, so if he's such a prophet, I mean, why did he went to the court, and why did he, I mean, you know, cooperate with them? I mean, because I mean, and I mean, because I mean, if I will rot in jail, it will not help anyone, and certainly not my daughters. But I mean, the better question is, I mean, why are adults, like, I mean, and certainly people that have, like, functions in a state, like a national state, you know, like judges, lawyers, social workers, why is it so important for them that, like, the person that they torment will lie, like, and they know that it's a lie, because all of them are, I mean, are in the secret, because the Shabbat does not allow any, like function within the state to have any kind of interaction with me if they are not in, like, I mean, aware of the secret, like who I really am. But so they all enjoyed so greatly, you know, to know who I am, but I mean, to treat me as a piece of shit, and to try to, you know, to trap me, or to show the world that, I mean, I'm not really that great, but I'm just you know, a creep loser or whatever, and it's like, I mean, of course, if it was one person that acts like that, I mean, it wasn't a big deal. But what is really do not understand is that everybody's, like, acts like that. That, I mean, that I have no other kind of interaction with humans beside that. I mean, unless you can't, like, you know, messages in YouTube. But I mean, human interactions, I only have, all of them are like that. I mean, they are all with people that have all sorts of functions in the state, and that they are aware of my true nature, but they, I mean, hide it, and they kind of, like, test me, or want to show that they are better than me, or something like that, or that I'm just a hoax. And that this is all my interactions. Now you might argue, I mean, no, I mean, this is not very special to you. This is the life of a celebrity, or a very rich person, like, or a CEO of a company, or a politician. That's how people treat them. So I would say, yes, but I am penniless. I don't have money for food, and I don't see my daughters, and I live in a hostel for homeless people, and I'm subjected to violence all my life. I am not a billionaire or a celebrity. Yes, there are some kind of, like, lines that are equivalent to what I feel like, or how people treat me. Some lines are equivalent to how people treat, like, I mean, very rich and powerful people. But I am not rich or powerful. I'm poor and without any power. So it's like, I mean, it's like being rich from the movie, but while you're actually, I mean, completely poor, like, I mean, and destitute and helpless, like, I mean, but still people, like, you know, treat you, I mean, with the same contempt that, and wish, like, to show that they are better than you, that, I mean, that is mostly reserved indeed to rich people and celebrities. So, I mean, it's like, I mean, the worst possible condition. I cannot participate in any theater. I mean, why is it so important for you that I will participate in theater shows and say all those sort of things that, I mean, that you know that are not true? I mean, why Israel? Why do you fight God? I mean, you know, they say that, you know, the secret is in the name. Yes, say yes, Israel. So they are all Israelim, all of them Israelim.